Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will show you in Django web framework how to search filter records with a drop-down list, which is a select option element using JavaScript. And here we got the final output. We got a drop-down list, button control, and the table. Let's select only the female records only. We select female. We will select male, we got male records. In our table, we have only one female and two male records. Suppose if I want to display male and female, all the table, this is the table. So here we got all the records, the user details is displaying in this table. That's it. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before writing the coding part in Django web framework, first we'll check the table in PHP MyAdmin database. The table name is a new user which contains 6 columns: ID, uname, user email, password, marital status, and gender. Now my aim is, first I will bind this table into an HTML file using Python Django web framework. So after that, we'll add the functionality to the drop-down list to search filter the table using simple JavaScript snippet. Before creating a new Django web application, first we'll create a new folder in this local disk D drive. Right click the mouse, select new, click folder. The folder name is Dropdown List search table. Enter. Let's browse this folder. Right now this folder is totally empty. Now we'll create a new Django web application into this folder. I'm using Visual Studio Code to write the Python programming. First we'll add the folder which we have created in the local disk D drive. Open file, select open folder. Now in the local disk, the folder name is DDL search table. Let's select that one. Select folder. And here the folder is added to our Explorer. At the right side there is a welcome page. Let's close this welcome page. And if you notice, this folder contains empty. Let's minimize this folder as well as expand it. Now let's create a new application in this folder. For that, go to View, select Terminal. And here we got our command prompt, which is the terminal. And notice the path is of a folder name we have created in this D drive. Now to create a new Django web application, Django-admin start project, create the project name is DDL search is my application name. Click enter and the project is created successfully. If you notice here in this folder there is a DDL search application is successfully created. Let me expand this application and notice there is one subfolder called DDL search and one manage.py Python page. Let me expand this subfolder also. And notice in the subfolder there is some default Python files like settings.py URLs. All these files has been created automatically when I created this start project DDL search. Now after creating the application, next step I'm adding a new templates folder to our application to create our HTML pages. So right click the project application name, click new folder. The folder name is a templates, enter, and in this templates folder I am adding a simple HTML page. Right click the mouse, select new file, and the file name is index.html. And here we got our index.html page. So let's add some HTML code. Doc type HTML header section Inside this header section, I'm adding the title. Now the title is search records with drop-down list using JavaScript. After that, after the header section, I'm adding the body tag. Inside this body, I'm adding the center tag. Now in the center tags, I'm adding the header tags h1, search filter records dynamically from MySQL using JavaScript, and h2 Django Python tutorials. After the header tags, I'm adding a simple horizontal line. Now after the horizontal line, first I will bind this the table new user list table into HTML table. So let's add the table here. After the table, I'm adding tr table rows, table headers. The table headers are the first one is the employee ID, and the second one is a table header. The table header, the user ID is new user ID. So instead of employee, I'm adding user ID, username, table headers, password, table header, this one is a user email, now here the password. The next one, table headers, is a marital status, and the last column is a gender. So after that, I'm adding another tr. Inside this tr, the table data. Now here in this td, in the table data, we have to bind the data from dynamically from the database. So for that, we have to write the code. First, let's save this file, save all. Now let's create a new models page in this subfolder DDL search. Right click the mouse, click new file, and add models.py, enter, and here we got the models.py page. Now in this models page, I'll create a class to create our properties and the table from the database. So before that, we need to import the class name, models class name, from django.db import models class. After that, let's create a class. In this class, the class name is a user. The class name is a user. Inside this class, I'm adding models.model colon. Now in this user class, I'll define the properties. In our table, we have 6 columns. The ID column is the auto-generated column, so I don't require. So these 5 columns, I'm creating the properties. The first one is a uname. Uname is equals to models dot cap field, f is a capital, max underscore length is equals to 100, and email, the second property is, instead of writing this all, I'm just pasting this thing. After that, the password, user email password is equals to marital status, status is equals to, and the last one is a gender is equals to models.cal field. I don't require this max length. So once we got the properties, now next step, let's add the another class, the meta class, which contains our the database table. db underscore table is equals to, between double quotes, I'm adding my table name. Our table name is a new user page. Let's copy that one and paste here. That's it. Let's save this models page. Now we require the views page to call this user class. So right click the subfolder, click new file. The file name is a views.py, enter. Now here we got views.py page. So first let's import the necessary classes from Django dot shortcuts import. I'm importing the render class. So this render class is used to render our HTML pages. So next we require the class from this models page. From the models page is in the application name ddl search dot the models import. From this models class models page, I'm importing this class user. Copy this one and paste here. Now let's define the function user details. Is a function name request colon red. Next we'll fetch all the records. So result is equals to the table we're getting from this user class, the properties and the table. So let's add the user, the class name from the models dot objects dot all method. So this line is to fetch all the records from this user class, which contains the properties of the table. And then we need to render the HTML page. So it return the function return render method. The render method, the first parameter takes the request comma, the second parameter between single quotes I'm adding, I want to render this HTML page. So let's add that index.html then the last parameter we need to add a class name and this object, this variable. For that I'm using curly braces, the dictionary I'm adding, between double quotes I'm adding user class colon result. The user and the key is a result. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. Now after we created the views page, now we need to configure the URL patterns in this URLs page. Let's open that one. In this urls.py, notice the URL patterns, the path is the admin page, which is our default home page of our application. So now I don't require this admin page for my project, the default page. We'll change the home page path, single quotes, comma, the class. We need to render this index.html. So this HTML we are calling from this function, and this function is in the views page. So first we need to import the views page dot import views, and here the views dot the function name user details from this views page. Let's copy that one and paste here in this URL patterns. And let's save this file. Now the next step, we need to configure our application and the templates and the databases. In this settings.py page, open that one, and the settings.py, the first step, and notice in the install app we need to add our application name. So between single quotes I'm adding ddl search. Then the next step, we need to add the directory, the templates, the base directory in this DRS section, os.path.join method. The join method takes the base directory first, BASC_dir, comma, between double quotes I'm adding the templates folder, and this templates folder contains our HTML pages. So our templates is a index.html page. Then the last step, we need to configure our database. By default, and this database contains the SQLite 3. The engine is SQLite 3. So let's change. Our database is MySQL, which is the PHP MyAdmin database, and the name of our database is between single quotes. Let's add our database name is a sample DB. Let's add that one, sample DB. The next object is a user name is a root, password, colon. Here the password I'm leaving blank because I don't have any password to log into my PHP MyAdmin database. If you have any password, please enter your password between these single quotes. Then the next attribute is the host, colon. The host is a local host, and we require the port number also, comma, between single quotes, the port number. Our MySQL port number is 3306. Let's add that one between double quotes, 3306, comma. And the last one is the options, column, between curly braces, the options between single quotes. I'm adding init underscore command, colon, between double quotes. I'm setting the SQL mode is equals to, between single quotes, strict, let's write in a capital letter, strict underscore trans underscore tables. That's it. We have configured our databases, templates, and the application in this settings.py. Let's save this file, save all. Now let's bind the data in this table in HTML page. And this table, let's add the border. This border is equals to 1, and between the table data and table headers, I'm using for loop to fetch the records. So between curly braces, percentage, the for loop is for for display. Let's add result as an object. You can add anything here. We're getting the data from this class name user, because this user class contains the properties and the table. User, let's add between single quotes, percentage, and for. Now in the TD, between double curly braces, let's bind the data. First one is the ID. The ID column is this one from the table, and the next one between curly braces, result dot you name TD, result dot your email TD, between curly braces, result dot password PWD. The password is a PWD, and marital status and gender we require. TD, between double curly braces, result dot marital status. The last one between curly braces, result dot gender, column name. That's it. We have binded the data into this HTML table from my SQL database. Let's save this file. Now the next step, before adding the search filter functionality to this table using Dropdown List with the JavaScript, first we'll check the basic output, how it looks, the designing part on the browser. So once we save the file, now go to the command prompt. First we need to add our project name to this directory. Let's extend that one. cd ddl search is our app name, application name. Then let's install pip install mysql client, enter. And see here we got a message, the requirement already satisfied, which means the MySQL client packages are installed successfully into our project. Now let's run the server. Python manage.py. We need to add this class file name manage.py. Then add the run server, enter. Here we got an issue. Careful for gender max length. Here the max length, max underscore length is equals to 1. Now let's save this file, save all. See, now we got no issues found into our application. Below that we got our web URL. So control plus mouse click. So here we got the output, the header tags of that horizontal line. Below that we got a table, HTML table. We have binded this data from this new user reg. This is a table data. We have binded into this HTML table. Now the next step, let's implement the search filter records using Dropdown List with JavaScript. So let's add a simple select option element, switch to index.html. After the headings horizontal line, I'm adding the select option element, which is a drop-down list control. Now in the select element, I'm adding the sub element called option, and this option I want to search the records based on the gender. So this is a default label for the drop-down list. Select gender, and this option I'm making disabled is equals to true. Disabled is equals to true and selected. After that, another option is a male. The value of this option is capital M, because we need to add these values M and F. And the second option, female, and the value is equals to female. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. We'll check the output. The drop-down list is added to our HTML page or not. I'm reloading the browser. So here we got the drop-down list, which contains male and female, and the default header label is the select gender, which is a disabled. Now my aim is, if a user clicks on male, I want to get the records, only the male records in this table. If the user selects the female, I want to display only, I want to get the records, the female records only. So let's write the JavaScript snippet. At the header section, Let's add the code script, and let's close the script tag. Inside the script, type is equals to text/JavaScript. Now let's declare a function. Such data is a function name, JavaScript function. In this function, first I'm declaring a variable. The input, we are using the input value with this select option. So first I'm adding the input. Next, that selected. Next, the data I want to display in the table. So I require one more variable table tr. In the table we have table rows and table data. Let's close with semicolon. So input is equals to the input we are selecting from this drop down select option element. So we require the id for this select option. Id is equals to, I'm adding such ddl. This is the id. Here I am adding document dot get element by id. The id of this element is such ddl. Copy this one. Let's add between these double quotes such ddl semicolon. After that, once we select the options from the drop down list, we need to filter the records in a table. So for that, we need to add one more property called filter to filter the data. So filter here, filter is equals to the filter value based on this input. So input dot value dot to uppercase method. Then the filter data I want to display in the table. So we already declared a variable table here is equals to table and document dot get element by id. Let's add the table id here in this table element is id is equals to, let's add the table 1, copy this table 1 and paste here, semicolon. And now in the table we have the table rows also. So tr is equals to, so the tr we are getting from this table. So table dot get element, get element by elements by tag name between double quotes tr. In the table we have a tr semicolon. Then after that, we need to count the table rows, how many records are found when after we search the records. For that I am using for loop. For let's declare the variable I to count the data. I is equals to 0, I is less than tr dot length. We are counting the length of the table rows. I plus plus. Once we record the table rows, then let's display those rows into a table data. Td is equals to tr I, the array dot get element by tag names between double quotes td. Here I am adding the column index number of the table. So if you notice here, the column, the last column, I want to search the records based on this gender. So 0 is 0. So index user ID is 0. 1 is a username, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Let's add 5 here in this array. semicolon, then if condition, if this if td, the if condition, we need to display the records. So let's add another variable, display data, add this variable here, display data is equals to td dot inner text property, semicolon. Let's display those records. If display data dot to uppercase method dot index of method, and notice the index of method takes a search string. So the search string we are getting from this filter. Let's copy this one and paste here the values, the filter values here. If the font greater than -1, I want to display those records. tr array I dot the style dot display property, semicolon, and else part, if the records are not found, let's add none. That's it. We have written the code, but we need to add this function date, the search date, search data in this select id on click event. I am adding the function name search data. That's it. Let's save this file, save all. We'll check the output. I'm reloading the browser. So now when I select mail, see here we got mail records from the database. If I select female, here we got the female. Now my next condition is, if a user wants to show the male and female all the data, so for that let's add one button control. After the select option, I'm adding input type is equals to button, value of the button, reset table, it's a value, the property is a value, reset table, let's give the R is capital, reset table. I am closing this button control. Now in the same script, I am adding another function, reset table data location dot load method. I want to reload the browser simply. So let's add this function name in the button control. Now in the button control, on click event, let's add this function. This one, see here, the name spelling is a location, location, and it's a reload method. Sorry for that. Let's copy this one, the function name, and add to our button control on click event. Let's save this file, save all. We'll check the final output on the browser. I'm reloading the browser. So now we got and here we got the final output. We got a drop down list, button control, and the table. Let's select only the female records only. We select female, we will select male, we got male records. In our table, we have only one female and two male records. Suppose if I want to display male and female, all the table, reset the table. So here we got all the records, the user details is displaying in this table. That's it.